Hi guys, so I'm Makayla and I am one of the founders of Honest Birth Talk. And I'm going to talk to you today about my first experience having a natural childbirth in a hospital. So 14 years ago, I was pregnant and was talking to my friends, and I really knew nothing about childbirth. I just thought you go to the hospital and you have a baby, and there, you'd go to your weekly or monthly appointments, and there really wasn't much more to it. However, upon further research, and let's just be honest, I was watching TLC's The Baby Story. I started to freak out a little bit and ask some more questions and talk to my friends and read books because I was freaked out. All my life I thought, well, you get pregnant, you go to the doctors, you go to the hospital, and you have a baby. I really didn't think that there was anything more to it. But as I started watching these movies and the baby story on TLC, I'm like, oh my gosh, all these women are screaming and they're scared, and it just looks like this huge traumatic event. And I really, really didn't want it to be that way for me. So I told my husband that we were going to take a childbirth class, and he kind of looked at me like I had three eyes because he was at the time in pilot training. And he was like, I'm not sure I have time for that. And I was like, well, guess what? You're going to make time because you learn how to fly an airplane or you learn how to drive a car, and yet we know nothing about having a baby, which is probably one of the most important days of our life. So we're going to take this class. And let me tell you, it was the best thing that we could have ever done. Not only for my pregnancy and for my labor, but for us as a couple. It really, really, really helped. Anyways, enough about that. So can you have a natural birth in a hospital? And the short answer to that is yes. So how do you have a natural childbirth in a hospital? Well, for starters, I think being informed about the different procedures as well as open communication with your doctor, and to know really what it is that you want and why you want it. So like I said, I had to do a little bit of soul searching to figure out why I wanted to have a natural childbirth. And once I realized that it was really because of fear, I was able to take some of those fears, talk about them, and also the more I got educated and learned from my childbirth class, I became less afraid and more excited. So, number one, in order to have a natural childbirth in a hospital, I suggest you take some sort of a class, because having information and being armed with information and being educated and going into your doctor's appointments with questions that you want answered is a huge step in the right direction to achieving a natural childbirth. Number two, preparing your body. It is an athletic event like no other. Trust me. I have run some half marathons. I used to be extremely athletic when I was a teenager and through college, and there is nothing that compares to childbirth. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that every muscle in your body is working, and your uterus is working extremely hard during childbirth. So you want to know how to work with your body instead of against your body when it comes to the labor process. Also, knowing when to go. When do you go to the hospital? That's a huge, huge indicator of having a successful natural childbirth. Because if you go when you have your first contraction, then you might be there too early and they might send you home, and then you're discouraged, and then it plays mind games with you, and so on and so forth. So being prepared is absolutely the way to go. So just a quick little story. I was so worried about going to the hospital too soon that I kept telling my husband, it's not time. But he thankfully was also prepared and knew the different signs to look for, both emotionally and physical signs to look for in me. So he knew also when to help me make that decision to leave my house and go to the hospital. So we got there, and I was just convinced that it was too early. Even though I was having contractions that were 2 to 3 minutes apart, lasting 60 to 90 seconds, and I couldn't walk or talk through them. I had to breathe and concentrate. So deep down inside, I think I knew it was the right time, but I was in denial because it was my first baby. So we get there, and the nurse said, "Yep, we're gonna have a baby today," and we got moved to our hospital room. And really, at that point, it came down to confidence. The nursing staff and the doctor had confidence in us because we had confidence in ourselves. And so they really left us to labor and to have quiet moments, and were there when we needed something. So because we were able to communicate with them, because we were confident in where we were at with labor and the process, it was an amazing experience, which actually is why I got into teaching childbirth classes and becoming a doula, because I thought, wow, if I had this amazing experience, I want to teach other people how to have it too. And you know what? It doesn't always mean that you have to have a natural childbirth, but the confidence and feeling like you can conquer the world, it's the best feeling ever. So, natural childbirth in a hospital, part 1, was with my son 14, almost 15 years ago. And believe it or not, many of the doctors and nurses that worked at that hospital had never seen a natural childbirth. Yeah, never. There was students there that were like, "What? She's not getting the epidural?" So, ladies, you can do it. Gentlemen, if you're watching, there is no better gift than supporting your wife in the process of getting to know her body, as well as feeling confident in her ability to have a baby. So, stay tuned for part 2.